Growing up in Great Falls, like, man, I just remember, like, when my friend Chris invited me to go to this, like, audition, and there wasn't even an offer for me to join this band necessarily. He was just like, yeah, Kyler and I are going to these dudes, like, apartment because they're trying to form, like, a psych rock band. And as a freshman in college, having grown up in Great Falls, like, I was so desperate just to get into any sort of live music group whatsoever that, like, I brought my guitar and amp and showed up just so I could, like, have a chance. So, like, having a local music scene whatsoever, I don't know. I think it's huge. It's so important.
Me and him were in a group before Cosmic Sands.
Wet Mop.
I wasn't there. I wasn't. For all
was in
intents and
high school,
purposes, I was.
He's a fetus at this point.
We didn't have a place to rehearse, so all the shows were just our rehearsals. And it was always like in somebody's house, which doesn't happen anymore. Nobody has shows in their house.
No, and we would always get in like trouble with the police. Like every show / practice, the cops would get called and like practice more so. Like any place we would finally find a practice, we'd get shut down in like 45 minutes. So then after Wet Mop ended, I wanted to still do music, and I moved in nearby to our original bassist apartment, and me and him would like meet up all the time and hang out.
Kyler Reebich.
Yeah, Kyler Reebich.
And it was funny too, because I like misheard when we were gonna have like this rehearsal audition thing. And I showed up like half an hour late, and I didn't know there was gonna be another guitarist there. And I show up and there's Seamus. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? When I got more involved with the music scene, it like drew me in so much because it was the first time I lived somewhere where there was a centralized location where like things were happening and everyone like had somewhere to be for like a similar mission.
But we got Cole in the middle of COVID, which was really interesting because like COVID in so many ways just like obliterated the music scene around here.
Live music, or the live aspect of music, is arguably the most important part of music. For me, it's like both at the same time the most like enlightening, fulfilling feeling, as well as the most frustrating thing when it's not going right. But it really makes or breaks a musician.
Like from an artistic standpoint, I think there's always like this drive to you're outside, you're having like an out-of-body experience, like becoming one with the art, as cheesy as that sounds. And I think that live music affords like a shortcut to that, essentially. The art is so completely in the moment, and any mistake that you make or any like variation that you make, you have to live with. I think that like combination of two things where it's like, you have a constant possibility of forced improvisation, and you have this whole like out-of-body sort of performative art sort of mentality going on. I think that kind of, it gives it a very like dreamlike quality, I would say. I have a hard time like remembering most shows after we play them.
Especially in an era where like being present-minded is such a struggle with so many different things, so many of these like human-made worries that we have to deal with. That having an outlet like that where like presence of mind is like there's literally no alternative. It's really invaluable. I mean, just for my mental health at least.
You have to you have to convince people every time you go on a stage, pretty much. Like most of the
You're
time.
winning them over.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier than others. Sometimes people are pretty well on the way to being convinced.
Yeah, and
get
then
on
and
stage,
it's like
but-
if they're not convinced, then it's like, okay, we're doing this show for us. I think that's so much more important than like the actual musical component about it. Because unless you're like a pop artist or like someone who's like trying to get radio plays, it doesn't really matter like the recorded shit that you're putting out there. It matters like the word of mouth of like the live performance that you get.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people that I've talked to personally, like Missoula, that are like, oh yeah, like who've never listened to us, but it's like, yeah, I've heard you guys like put on a good show.
If you have any like artistic thing that you want to give to the community, I think you should just like do it. It creates like a sort of uniqueness about every individual town. If you've got your own music scene, you've got your own like art culture within the town that sounds unique from everything else. It just provides a lot of like social and cultural pride, I think, in your area.
Totally. Totally.
And I think that is something that kind of like it's getting homogenized out of the country and like the world in general. But
Yeah, I mean, in a time of such like, social and political division, like I feel like a huge thing that people are expressing is just like a lack of identity, or like searching for some sort of identity or some way to express like their own unique situation. Like being able to come here and have pride in like this unique like Montana scene.
yeah.
It's definitely contributed to, my own love of my home state. Specifically a music scene that's able to support unestablished artists or people who just, like teenagers who decide to form a band and be able to get their music out in front of a crowd. It's not even like about any sort of success. It's literally just like, it would be really cool to have the experience of being in a touring band that is able to like regularly go out and play shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't even need to be something where we're like making a bunch of money. Just like getting to the point where we can travel to really cool parts of the world and play music is like the idea.
I would say that like my goal with the band would be to have it reach a natural end.
Mm-hmm.
And not have us get like pissed at each other for dumb reasons and like break up, but rather it just be like, we like finished, like it's over.
Yeah.
Like we got
There's
the
nothing
creative,
more to do.
we ringed the creative lemon until the juice was gone.